wisdom on Wednesdays. Woohoo! All right, this is so amazing to be back with you guys again today. I am really excited for today's session because I'm going to be sharing with you the book, and I call it the book. It's literally the book that started me on the path that led me to where I am today. When I first picked this book up, I had no idea of the effect that it would have on me. I was 19 or perhaps 18 or 19 when I first read this book. What was magnificent for me to see is that when I read this book last 3 weeks ago, I realized that somehow I had led my whole life on the path that this book had spoken of. And here's the operative word, it wasn't conscious. So why am I sharing this with you is that any book that you read, don't think, oh, I will not remember it. I didn't remember the book. Honestly, I was recommending this book to my clients, and one of my clients said, oh my God, this book is life transforming. I knew it had had an effect on me, but I forgot. So that made me go back and read the book again, and it blew my mind. It literally blew my mind that everything I did in my life has just gone exactly as this book. I have distilled this book into two distinct sections. There is a fable, a story in this book. Don't we all love stories? And then 10 principles. Okay, so let's just jump into the PPT. I've created a really nice PPT for you. That's the advantage of Zoom. At least I can do a PPT, which we could not do on Facebook. So welcome, everybody. And right before we do that, we've got to make sure that everybody remembers the rules in this room. So this is the time to unmute your mics, fellow family members. You guys are, you know who you guys are? You guys are my friends like family, the Freedom Family. And if any of my family members here, then you're my family like friends. Woohoo! All right, guys. So rule number one is that you can unmute and tell me what's rule number one in our community.
We have fun.
Have fun.
Way to go! We have fun. Fun, which means, yes, hit those like buttons, hit heart buttons. I know on Zoom you can do clapping as well, which is awesome. Give me thumbs up because I like to get feedback. Rule number two, when I ask the question, how's everybody doing? What's the answer?
Awesome.
Amazing. Love it, guys. Love it, love it, love it. And how's the energy in here?
Hi.
Hi.
Awesome. Now we're ready to rock and roll. Because as I say it, if we don't have fun, it won't get done. Indeed. And what are we here to do today? We are here to learn something that potentially can change our life if we allow it to. So let's rock and roll and see what do we have next. So this is a story. There are two people in this story. We have a really successful lawyer on the left, and his name is Julian Mantle. If anyone knows which book it is, please don't reveal it. Keep the surprise, the suspense, and the secret for the rest of your friends here. And on the right, we have Yogi Raman. He's the wisest of the sages of Sivana. Their ages, as given, 56 and 96. That man on the right looks pretty young for a 96-year-old, eh? We'll soon find out what's his secret. So this story is about Julian Mantle. Who is Julian Mantle? A really successful lawyer. He wins every case that he fights. And guess what? He has the most wealthiest clients, of course, which also means that he is one of the most wealthiest lawyers. He has the mansion. He has a really nice jet. Of course, he has a private jet. And he has his Ferrari. And he has a lot of money. Also, what he has is that he's working 18 hours a day, but he says, I'm bringing home the money, and he's really happy with what he's doing. He's on it. He's winning one case after the other, And one day, the fateful day, he's in a courtroom fighting a very important case. In mid-sentence, when he's going, and he goes, oh, and he collapses. The whole courtroom is in silence. Julian Mantle! The Julian Mantle! He's lying on the floor. He's fainted. What has happened to the Julian Mantle? They rush him to the hospital. And the doctor says, buddy, you've had a heart attack. And if you don't slow your life down, you can forget about your life. Yes, he loses his family in his pursuit for wealth. He loses his health in the pursuit for wealth. So the question really is the successful Julian really that successful? Julian thinks to himself, I have the jet, I have the Ferrari, I have the mansion, but it looks like I may have lost the most important case of my life, which is his own life. Doctor says, don't be so hard on yourself, your body can't take it anymore. Julian Mantle, the really, really successful lawyer, the jets, the Ferrari, the mansion says, oh, looks like I'm losing the most important case of my life. So he takes some time off from work. Everybody's wondering what's happened to Julian Mantle. Is he going to come back? Is Julian going to come back? Because, the law firm really needs him. His clients love him. Julian ponders, thinks hard, and decides, what am I going to do next? He says, I have it all, and yet I have none of it. He starts to sell his things. He sells his mansion, he sells his jet, he sells his Ferrari. And he says, what is the true meaning of life? I am running this amazing race where I am winning, and it's never enough. He's got multi-millions, but he's never happy. His millions keep increasing, but his happiness does not increase. And he says something is missing. What is the true meaning of life? At a point when his life was leaving, he decided to grab hold of it, bring it back, so he could understand what really is the meaning of life. So where does Julian go? Where most people go when they're looking for answers. Goes to the great land, India. Yes, indeed, he goes to India. Why? Because he was told that all the wise men of this planet live there, wise men and women. They will tell you what the meaning of life is. Because Julian, of course, is here in this situation where he had it all and he nearly lost it all. And he realizes this is not it. So he goes off to India on a plane to find out what is the meaning of life. He's heard about these sages of Sivana. Sages of Sivana, he was told, they know the true meaning of life. All the sages live for over 100 years old and are really, really healthy and have the energy of a teenager. Now, Julian, who is although 56, when anyone looks at him, would think he was 90. He was sick, he was old, he was unfit, absolutely, really frail. And he was, drinking cigars, all of that. So he didn't really look 56, he looked 90. And he was told that if you meet the sages of Sivana, not everybody can, but try. So he goes on a trek to the Himalayas. He goes to the Himalayas and he's asking, hey, does anyone know where the sages of Sivana are? And everybody tells him they're a secret. And only those who are destined to find them will find them. He's desperate. And he starts walking up the mountains and asking and searching and asking and searching. Now it's 7 days up the mountain. He barely has enough to eat. He's really distressed. And suddenly he sees there's no one around him. He's really high up in the mountains now and there's nobody. And he sees a monk in the distance. And he goes, hey, excuse me, sir, excuse me, sir. And the monk looks at him and starts to walk away. And he runs after him. He says, excuse me, sir, I'm lost. Can you please help me? So this monk stops because he was speeding away. He had this beautiful basket of really, really vibrant flowers. The monk, his little basket, and he was running away from this man because he was like, who's a stranger chasing me? He's like, excuse me, sir, please help me. I'm lost. When the monk hears lost, he stops. He's like, yes. How may I help? And this monk underneath his hood looks really youthful. So he looks at his face and he's thinking he's probably like 30. And the monk holds his basket and looks at his basket. So Julian's like, maybe he thinks I'm going to take his flowers. And then he notices the monk's hand. And the monk's hand is really wrinkled. So he can tell that he's probably closer to 70. And he says to the monk, I'm looking for the sages of Sivana. And he looks up at him and he's like, how do you know about them? He said, I was told that they have the wisdom of life. Can you lead me to them? Do you know where they are? He's like, I don't know where they are. He's like, but please, I have traveled so far. I've come all the way from the US. I've trekked up this mountain 7 days. And then the monk looks at him again and says, I'll take you. He is besides himself because he's like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is going to pay off. I'm going to get to the sages of Sivana. And finally, after a beautiful trek, he meets Yogi Raman. Yogi Raman is the head sage. He's 96 years old. He looks like he's 36, as you can see in the photograph here. Now, Julian Mantle goes up to him, explains the story and says, this is my story. Please help me. I thought I had it all. I had the Ferrari, I had the jet, I had the house, but then I had nothing. I nearly died. What is the real meaning of life? What are we after? Why are we here? Yogi Raman says, oh, wow, that's amazing. What a great story. Here's Julian's entire story. Julian's lost his family. Julian's lost everything. And he's trekked up the mountain 7 days out of pure trust and faith that he will find them. He doesn't know where they are, but he believes he'll find them and he searches. And Yogi Raman says, your dedication has won me over. Come. Yay! Julian's like so happy. I'm sure he's happy because I'm happy too. Like he said, oh my God, I'm finally going to learn the secret of life. If you guys are excited, give me a thumbs up. I can see you. I can see you. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. This is awesome. So the question is, do you want to know what the sages of Sivana taught Julian Mantle? Now, the thing is that Yogi Raman starts a story. He says, come, Julian Mantle, I will tell you the story. So he begins an odd story. He says, sit down. Julian Mantle sitting on the ground. Yogi Raman's on this beautiful rock. And Yogi Raman saying, there was once this beautiful garden. And I want you to imagine, Julian, that you are in this garden. Julian says, okay, I can imagine I'm in a beautiful garden. Now imagine you're lying down on this beautiful tree. There are birds chirping. There's a creek in the corner. You can hear it somewhere. It's beautiful weather. The sky is blue. It's just a gorgeous garden. You can actually smell the flowers. There's so many flowers. And then you look to the right and you see, how interesting. There is a lighthouse. So he sees on the right, there's this lighthouse. So, Yogi Raman's like, keep imagining there's a lighthouse there. And what happens now is the lighthouse, the door creaks open and a really big sumo wrestler steps out of that lighthouse. So Julian is like, this is a strange story, man. Yogi Raman's, keep listening, Julian. And then the sumo wrestler is wearing this really thin pink cable wire underwear. So Julian is thinking this story is getting even more odd now. The sumo wrestler walks out of the lighthouse and sees a golden stopwatch. Sumo wrestler looks interested. As he bends over to grab this golden stopwatch, he faints and he just collapses. He collapses. But in a little while, the sumo wrestler smells a fragrant flower. There's a rose right near the sumo wrestler where he's fallen. So the sumo wrestler gets up. And as he gets up, he looks to the right and there is a path full of diamonds. And the sumo wrestler begins to walk down that path full of diamonds. And that is where the sumo wrestler finds eternal happiness. As you can imagine, Julian Mantle is rather confused. And he says to Yogi Raman, is this a joke? Is this secret? Is this why I trekked all these days and came here to sit with you and hear the story? What does it mean? Yogi Raman says, patience, Julian Mantle. You have traveled so far. So why don't you just continue to listen? Julian Mantle says, okay, Yogi Raman, I will listen to you. Please continue. And so, my friends, Yogi Raman goes to explain how this is the philosophy of life. The philosophy of life is explained in this beautiful fable. And the reason, the purpose of this is so Julian Mantle will remember. Because a little while later, you will see that Yogi Raman asks Julian to make a promise. And this story is linked to that promise. So hang tight. Here's the meaning of the story as Yogi Raman unravels it. The garden, he says, the beautiful garden of those beautiful flowers, the birds chirping, the creek cooing, that represents your mind. Your mind is just like that garden. If you sow seeds of plants that flower, you will get flowers. But if you sow seeds of poison ivy, you'll get poison ivy. You are the gardener. And remember this, and remember this, and remember this. Negative thoughts are automatic, which is why they say an empty mind is a devil's workshop. If you leave your mind without putting in positive thoughts, the negative thoughts are automatic. Your garden, just like any other garden, look at anyone's backyard, look at any garden. If it's not tended to, the weeds will crop up. The weeds will take over the garden. That's automatic. However, if you want to grow a rose garden, it has to be deliberate. Daily, sow seeds of the plants that you want to reap in the future. Positive thoughts, positive result. Negative thoughts, negative result. Got it, guys? Give me a thumbs up. That's the garden. Part A. There's 7 in total. Part 2. The lighthouse. The lighthouse, he says, Julian, the lighthouse, just like the lighthouse in the ocean, is your guiding post. What is that in our life? Our goals, our purpose. If you do not have any goal, any purpose, you're going to be lost at sea, just like a ship. If it doesn't have a destination, it's going to be lost at sea. Always have your lighthouse. Know your purpose, live a life that's aligned with your purpose. Set goals to get you to your purpose. As they say, a boat without a destination will be lost at sea. All right? So this is the lighthouse of the story. Julian, as you can imagine, is now really interested because he thinks to himself, I don't know what my purpose is. Why am I here? And Yogi Raman continues. The sumo wrestler. The sumo wrestler, Julian, conveys kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese concept, which means always improving, continuous learning, and always improving. He says, Julian, always, even if it's a small little bit, add to your garden, add to your improvement. The sumo wrestler, to get to that size and shape and strength, practices extreme amount of discipline in what he eats and what he does in his workouts. In the same way, this is a key concept that will give you a life of success. Kaizen, always improving. Yes, of course, books are your best teacher. There is no other teacher that's as good as books. I always say this. The author will put his life's work into a book, and you can get the knowledge that that author took a lifetime to learn. You could learn it in a couple of hours. It is powerful beyond measure. All right, let's go on then. Let's see what is the next thing, because that really had my curiosity. What's with the pink cable wire underwear? Now, Julian is waiting for this one. So Yogi Raman says, oh, I've just added that to the story so you never forget the color pink at least. So he says, now this cable wire on the outside, if you've ever seen a cable, it looks like a thin wire, but if you rip it up, it's got so many little fibers, so many little thin wires that's under a cable wire. What this signifies is that this signifies discipline. The outside, the pink cable wire is your overall discipline, but you need to add small little wires within it. We often think, what's that one bar of chocolate going to do? Or, you know what? Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow I'll study something. Oh, I don't want to wake up early today. Small changes with time, result in make a big difference. And that's why small daily disciplines is what actually changes your life. If you think that you control your life or that you decide your future, allow me to propose that you decide your habits, but your habits decide your future. And that, my friends, is the cable wire. Small little habits within the cable wire which keep his underwear up and keep his modesty, if you will. But this guy is showing it as a metaphor so that he has a life that he is proud of. Okay, small daily disciplines. Then the golden stopwatch. As we know, the gold is something that we're all after. The shiny object, the gold, we're running after the gold. So this amazing sumo wrestler is like, wow, look at that shiny golden object. I want to pick it up. And he runs after it. And as he gets it, he has a heart attack as he tries to pick up that stopwatch. What does this signify? This signifies gold may not actually be your most important asset, but instead, time. So what is actually precious is time. Because time, my friends, is what I call the true currency. It's non-renewable as a resource. Everything else is renewable. You can make more money. You can make more friends. You can make new families. You can make whatever new job. What you cannot make is more time ever. It's the one thing you can never, ever replace or renew. And so Yogi Raman says, pay really close attention to what you are doing with your life's most precious commodity. Does this mean you have to work all the time? No. It means have fun, work, study, learn, but do something meaningful in every moment. Connect with your friends, connect with your loved ones, spend time with people you love. This is something that most people don't do. Take the time out, spend time with people, spend time on your own health, on your own well-being. Make the most out of this most precious commodity. And that, my friends, is a golden stopwatch. And the fragrant rose. So our dear sumo wrestler's fainted. He's had a heart attack and he's lying down on the grass with his face down. And suddenly he smells a fragrant rose. And that is what wakes him up. Curious, isn't it? What is the fragrant rose? So Julian is looking at Yogi Raman saying, what's this fragrant rose that wakes up the sumo wrestler from his heart attack? So he says, the fragrant rose, my friend, is giving to others. There's an old Chinese saying which says, the hand that gives others flowers always has some of the fragrance on its own hand, which means when we give, we can't help but receive. And he says, true happiness, Julian, true happiness comes from a life where we give others. Find a social cause, serve others selflessly, and this will wake you up from any heart attack. This will wake everybody up from any slumber. This is the fragrant rose. And finally, Julian's like, okay, this is really interesting. What are the diamonds? I want to know about the diamonds, of course. The Yogi Raman says, hang in there, Julian, we're getting to the diamonds. The diamonds that when the sumo wrestler wakes up, he sees this little road, a narrow road in the forest, which has diamonds. He said, what's the path of diamonds? The path of diamonds is being present in the present moment, enjoying where you are, being happy. We often sacrifice being happy for when dash happens. All of you have I will be happy when dash happens. I will relax when dash happens. I will buy that thing for myself when dash happens. We often delay happiness for some eventuality. And we forget that we have the option, and I humbly propose this to you. You have the option. The option is yours to be happy right now. Right now, be happy and say, oh my God, I am so lucky I can see, I can hear, because I can see this presentation, I can hear what Cheryl's teaching me, and I have this amazing lesson that I am learning right now in my life and not 40 years later. We can be happy in this moment, and that is the true path to happiness, being happy. So imagine this, you're happy right now, then you're happy in the next minute, and you're happy the next minute, and you follow this forever until you die. Your life will be full of diamonds. Making sense? If that's making sense, give me a thumbs up, guys. I always wondered what's with the living in the now. I mean, of course I wasn't born knowing all this. So when I used to think, what's the meaning of living in the now? What's the point of being happy right now? Then I realized if I was happy in every now, eventually the nows would be over because life would be over and I would have been happy forever. So all we need to do is be happy now, 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 and you're happy forever. That's the actual meaning of be in the present and be happy now because every time is a new now. All right, guys. So here's a summary of all the 7. And I want you guys to take a screenshot of this so you have this with you forever. The 7 lessons, and this will complete part A. So hang in there because if you ever watch any summary of this book, you will only hear these 7 lessons. But I've added the second part to today's book summary, if you will, because this book is really so close to my heart. There are the 10 principles of life that Yogi Raman teaches Julian. But he asked Julian to make him a promise, which you will come to next. I think everybody's got a screenshot of this. I'm just going to, good, perfect. Master your thoughts, because that's where everything is. Have your purpose. Be like the sumo wrestler with discipline. Practice Kaizen. Always remember, small daily disciplines go a long way. The golden stopwatch, which says respect your time. The fragrant rose. The path of diamonds. Okay, guys, so these are the 7 lessons. Now comes the turning point in the story. Julian thinks, wow, I've got it all. And he is having a great time with the sages of Sivana. He's picked up all their traditions. He lives with them. Everybody loves him. They're amazed by his passion, his dedication. He wakes up, he goes to the pond, does his meditation. He's reading books along with everybody. They're just amazed. Julian's like, I have now arrived. I'm so happy. And then Yogi Raman calls him to him. And Julian Mantle goes to Yogi Raman, and Yogi Raman says something to Julian that shocks him. He says, Julian, it's time to leave. As you can imagine, Julian is devastated because he feels finally he's happy. His health is back. He's so happy, like he's never been before. He's agile. He feels like his 30-year-old self. He's so happy. And Yogi Raman says, Julian, it's time to leave. What you have learned, you must now tell the world. And he says, as a parting gift, Julian, I will give you the 10 rituals of radiant living. And Julian learns the 10 rituals of radiant living, which is the secret that has kept the yogis young, looking 30 when they're actually 90, and everybody lives past their 100th birthday. So here are the 10 rules of radiant living. Whoa. Oh, yeah. Do you guys want to know? That's the question. Do you guys want to know? If you want to know, give me thumbs up. Give me thumbs up. Let me see. Do you guys want to know? I can't see all of you. Okay, good. Everybody loving it so far? How's this for awesome, by the way? Isn't this just awesome, guys? Oh, love it. Thank you so much, guys, for thumbs up. Okay, let's rock and roll. The 10 rules for radiant living. Rules 1 to 5 are on this page. Here are the 10 rituals. Ritual number 1 is the ritual of solitude. I don't know how many of us practice this. However, what is solitude? Yogi Raman says to Julian, spend at least 15 minutes every day in solitude, which is now in modern day, we call it meditation. Cut away from the noise, from everything in your life, and just sit silently. He gives Julian a really cool hack because Julian says, I don't really know what to do when I sit in silence. He says, observe the heart of a rose. So he says, what do you mean, heart of a rose? He says, just take a rose and just look at it. And just for the 15 minutes, only appreciate how the petals fold one on top of the other and how magnificent a creation that rose is. And who in the world and how was it ever created with such beautiful precision? If you don't have a rose, look at a flame. Initially, looking at these objects may help you to be in solitude without allowing your thoughts to interrupt your solitude. That is the first ritual of radiant living. Second ritual, physicality, which means exercise. At least 5 hours a week. It doesn't matter what you do, Yogi Raman says you don't have to really, really sweat it out and tire yourself out. Go for a walk if that's all you can do. Walk in nature, it's always the best. If not, anything, make it fun so that you continue to do it every day, at least 5 hours a week. We live in our bodies, and it is up to us to nourish it, care for it so that it can serve us the best. In line with that, he says ritual number 3, eat live nourishment, which means live fruits, not animals, live fruits and live vegetables. He says, eat foods that nourish you and give you life. When we eat things that are dead, it robs some of the nutrients away. Yogi Raman says, eat live fruits and vegetables. They ate a lot of fruits up there, the sages of Sivana. Ritual number 4, ritual of abundant knowledge, which is constantly learn. They always had books and they were always reading. They would read up to 2 hours a day. Of course, we may not be able to do that, although all the great leaders are readers. And this is a commonly known fact. I always say this when people, and especially my clients, tell me I don't have time to read. I tell them Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, name all the top guys spend an hour daily to read. And if you cannot find 15 minutes to read, then think again. Are you busier than Barack Obama? Are you busier than Oprah Winfrey? It's just a matter of priorities. So he says at least take 15 minutes a day to read. Ritual number 5 is ritual of personal reflection. This is so important, and nobody does this. Honestly, it's something we've never been taught to do. And after I read this book, that's when I started to do this, which is at the end of the day, I do it when I'm lying down in bed. The book proposes that you do it in a journal. You're welcome to do it if you feel like it. For me, I just lie down and I think, what did I do right today? What did I do that was not so right today? And whatever I feel like I did not do right, did I say something was unkind? Did I do something that didn't make me feel good? I make it a point to recognize that it's happened. There's no problem. If it's happened, it's happened. And then I say, what will I do tomorrow so that I live better, so that I show up better, so that I serve people better? And that's the question that I ask myself. And I make myself a little tiny promise. This won't happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And this is the ritual of personal reflection, because we live our lives on autopilot. Do you know that human beings have about 60,000 thoughts a day? And usually the same thoughts repeated over and over, the same actions repeated over and over. Unless we stop the cycle and we say, wait a minute, that thought isn't serving me. Wait a minute, that action isn't serving me. It's not going to change. So this is, and it's a daily ritual, guys. All of these are daily rituals. Personal reflection, reflect on the day, what you feel you didn't do right, what you feel didn't make you feel good. You can feel it, just feel it from your heart. I wasted too much time watching TV today. That doesn't make me feel good. I know that's not right. Tomorrow, I promise I'm going to cut it by half and I'm going to do this instead. That's it. Don't be hard on yourself. We make mistakes. We are humans, of course, and that's how we learn. When we say, this didn't make me feel good, I'll change it. And it's up to you to change it. So it's no great deal. It's no big deal. Just change it. Okay. Now the next 5 rituals. I think everybody's taking a screenshot because I'm going to shift to the next slide. The next 5 rituals is a ritual of early awakening. I'm sure a lot of people went, whoa, 5 a.m. Yes, indeed, 5 a.m. A lot of people, enlightened people, always propose this, wake up with the sun. One of the key reasons is when you wake up at 5, everybody is asleep, which means you have time for yourself. It's very important to have time for yourself. You can do your meditation when you have time for yourself. You can do your exercise when you have time for yourself. If you want to do your personal reflection in the morning, you can do it. Waking up with the sun is known to have extremely powerful results. Of course, I wake up very early, sometimes 5, sometimes 6. And it's a game changer. If there's ever a day that I'm unable to wake up if I slept too late because I was working, which has been happening lately, then I feel like my whole day has gone for toss, right? And I'm sure a lot of you will resonate, and I'm going to have this conversation with all of you at the end of this. Once we're done with this, I'd love to hear your feedback. And finally, this next ritual, which I really, really love. I want to see the show of hands. How many of you listen to music daily? Or give me a thumbs up since your cameras are off. How many of you listen to music daily? I've seen Sohail saying yes, and I feel like, yeah, very few people know the magic. Kushbu, awesome, Darwin got it. Very few people know the magic of music. This is one of the key rituals that Yogi Raman tells Julian. Julian is amazed, of course, but listen to music every day. Listen to music that uplifts you, of course, not music that makes you sad. Music that uplifts you, that fills you with energy. Sound is energy. And when you listen to really empowering music, you will feel empowered. Ritual of the spoken word. Oh my God, if you guys have been around me, you already know how important this is. I always say that your word creates your world. Your words are so important. It cannot be stressed how important it is. There is an affirmation that I picked up from this book that I've shared with you here. And I would encourage whoever would like to please write it down and say this every day. There is a lot that is said about the number 108, saying it's a very, very, very important spiritual number. And repeating things many times is how your subconscious mind learns. I repeat that 108 times every day. If you guys are not looking at the screen, I'll say it out loud so you can write it down. It is, I am more than I appear to be. All the world's strength and power rests inside me. I'll say that again. I am more than I appear to be. All the world's strength and power rests inside me. Say it as many times as you can. It's so powerful. It's from this book. It's so powerful. So Yogi Raman goes to say why the yogis are always chanting. They are reaffirming to their subconscious mind what they want. They keep saying, I am disciplined. I have pure thoughts. I am a pure soul and I love to serve others. And they keep saying this over and over again. So subconscious mind gets programmed. That's what mantras are, really. We call them affirmations in the Western world. In the Eastern world, they would call mantras. Same thing. Okay, ritual number 9, character. Live in accordance with your principles, your values, and your character. What does this mean? If there's an opportunity, if someone proposes something to you that you feel is not aligned with your values, just say no. Of course, this is common sense and all of us know it. However, sometimes we tend to forget about it and say, it's okay, you know what, something small. But something small, as we said earlier, will eventually deflect you. So this is 2-degree thing that Tony Robbins talks about, right? So today you might be making just a 2-degree shift, okay? So say, for example, you were going in this direction and then suddenly you make a 2-degree shift. Look, if you had to go this direction, you would be here. But if you had to go this direction, you would be way far off this point, right? Just a small 2-degree shift makes a huge difference in the long run. Time does that. And the final ritual is a ritual of simplicity. This, my friends, was something that I learned through my life. And again, like I said, I didn't know that I was living my life by these virtues. I really didn't know. I'd forgotten because I read it when I was 18 or 19 years old. Initially, I had all the things. You know, I had 2 houses, I had really nice cars, I had a Lexus sports car, I had everything, you know, that the stuff that Julian Mantle had. I didn't have the jet though. Anyways, I had most of the other stuff. So, and I was really, really excited with all these things that I had. A few things happened in my life, especially one of the things that my friend said to me, and I really owe this to him because I was so in love with my car that nobody could drink in it, nobody could sit in it, well, no one could smoke in it, no one could eat in it. I was so crazy. If there was a small scratch on my car, I would immediately go and fix it. It was a beautiful red sports car. I loved it. And then one day my friend, you know, asked me that, hey, Cheryl, I was like, yeah, can you just answer me this question? I see how much you love your car, but is the car for you or are you for the car? Was the car made to serve you or were you made to serve the car? To me, that was my wake-up moment. And I thought to myself, I have put myself through so much of running around to make this car happy, which is not even a real alive thing, you know? To keep the car clean, to keep the car shiny. And I realized I was always going for car washes anyways, and same for all the things in my life. And I started to realize that these things were not making me happy. I was so busy running after the tenant of my house and making sure that the house is, you know, properly kept and the rent comes in time and the other house for the builder. And I was like, what is the point of all this stuff? And I started to sell everything. I literally sold everything. I have nothing, but I have so much happiness. And that is exactly the path that I followed. Unknowingly, guys, I did not remember this, not consciously, but subconsciously, I may have remembered it, that things don't buy happiness. And so I moved to the ritual of simplicity, and I live my life in the most simplest fashion, and I'm super duper happy. I've added a line there saying we tend to complicate our lives with, what's happening on social media, all the messages, all the calls. Simplify, 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 which means get rid of everything. As much as you can, get rid of everything, because you trust me when I say this, you will be so much happier with less things. I didn't have a TV in my house for I don't know how many years. I just don't need these things. They don't bring you happiness. I promise you that. So those are the 10 rituals of radiant living. Now, my friends, you may unmute yourselves and tell me who knows which book this is. I was keeping the suspense for the last. Who knows which book this is?
I know
Monk who
it.
sold his Ferrari.
Monk who sold his Ferrari.
Oh no, I showed it. The suspense is gone. Okay, here it is, guys. It is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. This is the book that literally changed my whole life. And my whole life was unconsciously based on this book. Who's read it? Anybody's read it here? No?
I have read
Yes,
it.
yes.
Thumbs up. Yes,
Even
Shola
I.
has read it. Awesome, Shola. That's amazing. Sohail has read it. So good. Amazing. And this is the book that literally changed my entire absolute life. But here's something really cool. And with your permission, I'd like to ask you, who knows about this? You guys, you're welcome to unmute if you want. Just give me a thumbs up. Did you know this? Who did not know that I am releasing my first book? Who did not know this? Anyone here? Is anyone excited that my first book is coming out?
Super excited.
Oh, you guys are clapping and thumbs up. Okay, this is awesome. Do you guys want to know how you can find out what's in this book? Do you want to know what's in this book, guys? Okay, so everybody knows, I think. The book these are the key lessons that you're going to learn in this book. It's the lessons that I learned from my life. So Yogi Cheryl. This book is going to teach you some really, really interesting things. You're welcome to read it, or I'm happy to read it out for you. As the author, it is my honor that financial wealth, it's all about money. And it's all about money being a completely internal mind job. And so I asked this question, what if everything that you were ever told about money was wrong? And I always say this, if everything we were taught in school and university, if it worked, then wouldn't everybody be rich, happy, healthy today? Something's missing in the education system. You always see that some people go from rags. So many people have gone from rags to riches, and some others are always living a life full of struggle. What's the difference? A lot of people say it's luck, and I say it's luck, but luck that they have created. They have created it through this. Everything when it comes to success in your finance, your life is an inside job. It's related to your mind. So what you will learn in this book are the key, I call them the 10 commandments of wealth, which you will discover in this book. The kind of thinking that the wealthy people have that the poor and the middle class people don't know. They don't look at money in the same way. There are different lenses in which the wealthy people look at money and the middle class people look at money. Of course, we all come with this blueprint because of our society, because of our upbringing. And this book will help you see that. Something that we have, many things that we've been told. Things like time is money. Things like money is really hard. Things like money is ill. Things like you cannot be spiritual and make money at the same time. These thoughts is what blocks us, which stops us. Anyway, so these are the things that I'm talking about in the book. Many of you have already pre-ordered the book. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how happy that makes me. We've had so many pre-orders coming in. I do know that the guys in UAE cannot pre-order. Unfortunately, UAE Amazon does not allow for pre-order. So what we've done is we've put a link for you to register your interest. So as soon as the book is live, you will get a notification that the book is live so you can pick it up. If you haven't picked up or pre-ordered the book right now, it's available on Amazon. Depending on where you are, go to your own own marketplace. So if you're in India, just look for the name of the book, Money, Master Your Mind Game. And you will have the book that you can pre-order. But if you're in the UAE, please register your interest. Renelle will send you a link. And with that, my friends and my dear family, I want to say thank you. And now I'd love to hear from you guys. What was your key takeaway from the book that we spoke of today? Go ahead and unmute your mics. Renelle, you can stop the share.